Ahead of U.S. President Barack Obama's trip to Cambodia, residents of a village next to Phnom Penh Airport were hoping to appeal to the American leader for help with avoiding displacement. Now, 8 of those individuals now find themselves behind bars instead, detained after plastering the chief executive's picture on their rooftops besides spray-painted messages reading SOS. And what exactly is their emergency? Well, the aviation hub wants to expand its facilities, and you can pretty easily guess where the extra land is supposed to come from. Now, officials ordered the 400 families living in rickety shacks with rusty coverings to evacuate the area back in July, according to the Associated Press. But they have adamantly refused to vacate the premises. Now, dozens of police officers swarmed into the hovel last Thursday, ordered the removal of what they called illegal art from the roofs, and arrested the octet identified as being most responsible for the desperate displays. A 23-year-old local inhabitant told reporters everyone is being forcibly evicted from the only homes they have ever known, without proper compensation, and simply wanted to ask for assistance. Disputes of this nature are a critical social and political issue in the country, sometimes leading to unrest, and security personnel forcibly remove those who don't want to give up their dwellings. Now, some internet users sympathize with the plight of those who may soon be homeless, and here's what they had to say.
Wow, so this does actually work? I'm a Chinese investor, and I also want to seek help from President Obama. Can he save us, the investors who are struggling with stocks?
Obama is visiting Cambodia to attend an important summit with government leaders from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and several specially invited guests. Now, his arrival in Phnom Penh follows a series of high-profile meetings in Thailand and Myanmar. He's the first sitting U.S. president to travel to the country, which was drawn into the Vietnam War in the early 1970s and suffered through decades of unrest in the aftermath. That tumultuous era introduced the world to the unfortunate terms Khmer Rouge, boat people, and killing fields, among others. As leaders now look to introduce reforms aimed at fostering a 21st century market economy, many see the ASEAN gathering as a launching pad for a brighter future. Now, in regard to local villagers appealing to America's chief executive for help, a number of posters on Weibo say he can't do everything.
So it seems that demolition isn't a Chinese characteristic. Does Cambodia not have a city administrative force or police? How can they let ordinary people do such a thing? Too incompetent.
But a few U.S. lawmakers have indeed demanded that the president address human rights issues at the conclave. Now, the website Open Development reported that a dozen legislators, including Senator John McCain, Obama's opponent in the 2008 race for the White House, wrote him a letter warning that alleged abuses in Cambodia should not be ignored. They concluded that taking a public stance would encourage and embolden the nation's people while sending a clear message to the entire region about American values and expectations, particularly in the wake of the Arab Spring. Now, how helpful such a declaration may be to the process currently underway remains to be a matter of debate. Okay, let's take a look at a few more Weibo comments.
Obama has become the angel who can save the world. He is the champion of the masses. So I think it's likely the U.S. will dominate the world in the future. It's like in that movie Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. I think Obama being the president of the world's only superpower has become a symbol, and all the oppressed people around the world look up to that symbol. He does not represent American values as much as what's universally right and just.
Concerns about land seizures, property demolitions, and commercial redevelopments are certainly not unknown in China. Anger over the situation bubbled over in December 2009 after a man named Xi Xingzhu publicly set himself ablaze in Beijing due to despair from officials pressuring his family to give up their home. Now, his brother told reporters they had tried everything possible to raise legal questions about the impending bulldozing through normal channels. But nobody did anything despite what he described as obvious problems with the case. Now, that incident came about a month after a Chengdu resident named Tang Fujin lit herself on fire in front of police officers and emergency workers to protest the wrecking ball slated for her husband's garment business and their attached living space. Now, in response, a group of 9 law professors wrote an open letter published by media platforms like China Daily, arguing that property requisition rules needed to be overhauled. Now, the State Council Legislative Affairs Office then called a meeting and promised to solve the problem. Now, while the number of real estate grabs and building implosions might have dropped since that time, the country isn't completely free of such situations. So, stories like the plea to Obama continues to command attention. And those commenting online have a little more to add. Here's what they had to say.
In my opinion, since this issue still falls within the domestic affairs of Cambodia, I think it should be solved by the local government rather than some foreign governments. It's about right or wrong, not about governments. Is it right to beat your own children? Should they not be protected from a violent family?
Now, back in Cambodia, powerful companies with influential connections have been snatching up land as they deem fit for many years. Advocates for the poor would like to see Prime Minister Hun Sen implement genuine change aimed at improving the situation. Now, as the nation keeps modernizing, property prices will climb and the cost of compensation will become even more contentious. Then there is the general issue of constructing affordable housing, as most of those pushed out of their villages will never be able to buy increasingly more expensive residences, regardless of what the real estate developers eventually fork over to them. Now, more than 10,000 troops have been assigned to maintain order during the ASEAN summit. And the country's police spokesman confirmed to the media that 6 women and 2 men were carted off to jail during the raid near the airport, but didn't say what charges they faced. Meanwhile, their families just want a decent home.